if this lawsuit is entirely accurate or anything like that, but it doesn't help his image, that's for sure. I mean, because of what happened last year with Ipe Mizuhara, who actually got sentenced to a little under 5 years in prison for his gambling scandal.
Hello and welcome to episode 81 of Hitting for the Cycle. I'm your host, Ben Kruse, alongside my co-host, Ryan Touhey. Ryan, welcome back from your vacation, my friend. I know obviously last week you were on remote, or you were last week on an episode. This week it seems like you're back to your familiar spot, so that's obviously exciting for yourself. And you were telling me off air that you had a great time, so I'm very happy for you. And yeah, I mean, heck, we're getting almost to the end of summer, Ryan. It's crazy to think. People have been asking me like how my summer's been going, first of all, and it's been going good. But I am kind of ready for football season and kind of ready for kind of that fall vibe a little bit. So I don't know like how you feel personally about that. But sometimes people think that summer goes by so fast. I mean, just think it's been kind of like up and down. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much. I did have a good time in Long Beach Island over the past week. I needed to get away and enjoy some time on the beach and be with my family. I usually go there every August. I've gone there pretty much every August throughout my entire life, ever since I was born. So it's always fun to go down there. And the summer is flying by. We've only got about a full month left of summer. We're halfway through the month of August already. And in terms of the fall and that weather coming up relatively soon, I am looking forward to fall. I do like autumn, but baseball first and foremost is my favorite sports. And the New York Giants just have given me little to nothing to care about for almost a decade now. So I can wait on football, to be honest with you.
That's fair. That's fair. And heck, Ryan, you will say that baseball is your favorite sport. We still have fall baseball. I mean, that's obviously the peak, I feel. So
it'd be a miracle though if my team was in the postseason.
Well, we'll talk about your team later, of course. But before we get started, folks, make sure to follow us down here on the ticker bar below, Heading for the Cycle at HFTC, ETB on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at ETB Network. Make sure to subscribe to Empty the Bench Podcast Network on YouTube. Also, make sure to follow Ryan Touhey at R2E97. Also, make sure to follow me at Ben Kruse 144 right down here on the ticker bar down below. Also, make sure to follow us on Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETB. Also, make sure to follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/ETB Network. Also, if you guys are on the go throughout the summer, make sure to listen to us on Hitting for the Cycle, wherever you guys be getting your podcast from. And as always, make sure to follow us Hitting for the Cycle, presented by our friends over at Playback. Stay tuned for more throughout the show. All right. So, Ryan, we are going to start with a topic where this guy has been in the headlines for obviously his records, his just his stardom, right? He is basically the face, this new generation of Babe Ruth, I guess if you want to call it. We talked about Shohei on the Baseball Bonanza, I believe, last week. However, Ryan, Shohei Ohtani, he has had some stuff off the field that has been quite, eye-opening, to say the least. And this is not the first rodeo that we have seen with Shohei Ohtani, and it's come to lawsuiting and gambling stuff. Of course, Ryan, last year we talked about him and Ipe on their first rodeo with the gambling, and Ipe, his translator, for those that don't know, he got fired after, of course, a lot of the kind of the new evidence and all this stuff kind of picked up over time. However, we have a news story that broke out, as this was from earlier this week. Now, I am kind of surprised, Ryan, that like Jeff Passan and not a lot of the bigger reporters have kind of broken this news, but it was first broken over the Japanese news, I think, over there first. And I mean, it's still like all over. I mean, Yahoo Sports obviously has some stuff, and ESPN obviously did have an article. So, I do believe this stuff is true. I mean, of course, I do want to kind of see kind of more some stuff around the TV and stuff like that. But if this is obviously true, we're going to take this obviously as the factual information. So, of course, if this stuff isn't true, right, we're obviously just kind of sharing the information that, of course, we see as of right now. So, Ryan, obviously, you were asking me off air, but if I heard more about this, and I really haven't dug deep massively into the details. However, Shohei did open up about the real estate lawsuit, and of course, the Dodgers right now are one of the three teams currently, one of the big market teams that have been absolutely reeling right now, between injuries, between their just poor play. I mean, the Angels, who typically are a team that the Dodgers, they're kind of looked as kind of like the Yankees to the Mets per se, kind of the big to the little brother type of thing. But the Angels have completely beating them up in the freeway series this year. And Ohtani basically just got asked and said, listen, basically they're tired of losing. They're not playing good baseball right now. They actually fell to second place behind the San Diego Padres. So, like, this overall story, I think, is the last thing that he obviously wants to get into. I know in the first story with Ipe, he obviously, it was trying to kind of a lot of the overall stuff, he just didn't really kind of he wanted to kind of downplay everything. And of course, understandably so. Of course, he doesn't probably want to talk about this overall. But what do you think, Ryan, overall about this? Because I feel like there's just so much information that's kind of here. I just obviously kind of wanted to go into more detail, just kind of based in terms of like just the TV outlets and stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the news outlets, but basically speaking, there's about 240 million Hawaii real estate lawsuit that's going on with Ohtani, and we're just trying to figure out in terms of what's more coming up.
Yeah, so this story is very bizarre. And when I first heard this news break, I can't say I'm too surprised, to be honest with you, because it's Shohei Ohtani, and he is one of the biggest athletes in the world, not just in baseball, but in just sports in general. And it seems like a lot of people are coming for his head whenever they get the chance. Now, I didn't know that Ohtani and his agents, I didn't know Ohtani's agent had anything to do with real estate to begin with. I didn't know that this was something that was going on the side, in addition to his career. But basically what happened, for those of you who are still kind of confused as I am, this is coming from the Associated Press off of ESPN. A Hawaii real estate investor and broker, they are suing Shohei Ohtani and Ohtani's agent, Nez Balelo, for $240 million, claiming that the two of them, or I guess more so Balelo, got this real estate investor and broker fired from an extensive project that would have an extensive housing project, basically. According to the lawsuit, this is coming from the Associated Press off of the ESPN. According to the lawsuit filed in Hawaii Circuit Court on Friday, Ohtani's agent, Nez Balelo, demanded concessions from developer Kevin J. Hayes Sr. and real estate broker Tomoko Matsumoto before demanding that their business partner, Kingsbarn Realty Capital, drop them from the deal. So basically what they're saying is Balelo and Ohtani were brought into the venture for solely for Ohtani's promotional and branding value. So Ohtani basically is just putting a face to this project. That's basically his only purpose for it. I didn't know if he was involved necessarily directly within the real estate business in some capacity, but they're just using his name, image, and likeness, basically. They exploited their celebrity leverage to destabilize and ultimately dismantle plaintiffs' role in the project for no reason other than their own financial self-interest. So the suit basically is just accusing of Ohtani and Balelo of getting this guy fired from this project, and they are using this project for their own self-worth. and to make, I guess, a little more money on the side. That's basically the simplest way, I guess, I can put this lawsuit. And I'm not great with lawsuits or anything like that.
No. I mean, I think that you pretty much explained it perfectly. I mean, like we said, we have to kind of know more in detail, kind of like the first Shohei Ohtani situation with Ippei. We kind of got some more details kind of as the last couple weeks and months have kind of gone on. Right, we've been becoming like crime, conductors on this show with the amount of lawsuits, the Wander Franco story. I mean, we've gone through. I mean, obviously, also just talking about baseball in general. I mean, we've had so many interesting stories, unfortunate ones, honestly, at times. But like something like this that we're just trying to figure out just more information for, and we'll just have to kind of see in terms of what's next here.
Yeah, it's just a weird situation, and like you said with Ohtani, it's just another another side dish in that goes along with his playing career. So, I mean, Ohtani, obviously, his image, Ohtani's very concerned about his image. We all know that. Ever since he came on board in Major League Baseball in 2018, that's really been a major concern of his. And, I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted to stay away from the biggest markets in baseball, which is basically New York and Boston. I mean, Los Angeles is a very big market, obviously, but it's closer to home for him. And he would have people backing him up should something bad come around. He wouldn't have, I think, as much defenders if he was under the microscope of a New York or a Boston or something of that nature. So, I mean, his reputation off the field is kind of taking a hit. I mean, whether or not the story is true, I mean, people are going to be, Ohtani is very respected for his playing abilities, no doubt about it. I mean, you talk to any baseball fan, whether they like him or not, that you can't deny that, you can't deny his talent, obviously.
Sure.
But him as a person, I think, is a different story. I think some people might find him to be a phony, I think.
Sure.
And I think some people might think that he might be full of himself at times. I mean, Ohtani hasn't really shown, that he's, cocky or arrogant or anything like that. I haven't seen that necessarily. But regardless, I think that his reputation off the field is just taking a little bit of a hit here. I mean, like I said, I don't know if this lawsuit is entirely accurate or anything like that, but it doesn't help his image, that's for sure. I mean, because of what happened last year with Ippei Mizuhara, who actually got sentenced to a little under 5 years in prison for his gambling scandal. But people were curious and concerned that Ohtani was directly involved with Mizuhara, and I mean, the evidence showcased that Ohtani didn't have anything to do with Mizuhara's actions. But, I mean, Ohtani's just such a big name in the sport. People are going to, want him for promotional material and to do side projects outside of his career. I mean, and Major League Baseball, I know, would encourage Ohtani to do stuff like that to help promote the game and the game's image. But, I mean, you can't deny that his reputation is it's kind of taking a hit here, and it's going to give, I guess, opposing fans a little bit of ammunition to mock him and, go after him a little bit more because, I think maybe some fans might be growing. Maybe, I don't know if some fans, I'm sure some fans might be a little tired of the whole Ohtani's the greatest of all time talk and discussion and all of that. But, I mean, regardless, Ohtani's concerned about baseball more than anything else, and I don't think this is I don't think this is going to take him down or anything. But it's a bizarre situation.
And it's not. And you were talking about, I don't know if it's true or not, right? But we wouldn't be shocked, unfortunately, because this is not the first time that he has had a certain story like this happen with him before. So we'll have to see. Like you said, we don't know specifically how factual all this information is. Our assumption is, I feel like there probably is stuff to it because it's not just one little article that I saw on the news. It's multiple. Japanese news, ESPN, Yahoo Sports. So I'm not gonna not sit here and not say there's nothing to this.
No, I mean, and this is, and like you said, this is coming from, this is coming from the perception of a certain individual who had
Yeah.
contact with Ohtani and his agent. Um, there's always two sides to every story. So while I'm sure there might be some factuality here. I'm also sure there might be some exaggeration here too, or over exaggeration. So, I mean, we'll see. It's not. I don't think this is something that Otani fans should be stressing so much about. To be honest, I mean, he'll live. He'll live at the end of the day. He'll be fine.
With baseball, anything they're going to, they're going to cover up him, right? He is one of the top figures in the game, and they obviously don't want to get him into a certain situation where it precludes to anything worse, right?
Yes.
So that's that. That is the first order of business on today's program. Is Shohei Ohtani has faced a lawsuit in Hawaii. We'll obviously have to see if there's more to this. All right, number 2 is Nataniel Lowe, former first baseman for the Washington Nationals. You probably have heard the name before. He was on the Texas Rangers for a little while, and Ryan, he's been a fairly solid bat. Around regardless of where he's been. Now his numbers this year have been a little bit more diminished. However, he legitimately just got DFA'd after the day of hitting a homer with his team, the Nationals, against the Kansas City Royals on, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't remember exactly when. He's only batting in the 220 range, but he definitely, I think, could provide a team a bit of spark. Obviously with his bat, he is 30 years old, so obviously he's getting up there in age. But this is obviously a guy that was, from 20. Let me see. From 2019 with the Rays, he batted 263 until 2024, 265. So this is now even since last year. I mean, the guy can still hit. He's just had a really tough year this year when it comes to average. And 2022, he batted 2022 he batted 302. So I mean, I think more of the years than not. I mean, there was only 1 year in 2020 in the shortened season where he batted 2024. But Nathaniel Lowe is not just a scrub per se of a name. This is kind of a name that has been floating around, and I do think that he probably wanted to do a lot better with the Nationals this year. So it's a little bit surprising that they would DFA him, the day after he just had a grand slam. However, Dylan Cruz is coming back to the team, so they obviously had to make a transaction, and that's a transaction that they made. So, Nathaniel Lowe has been DFA'd, Ryan. So, I mean, we don't have to really go much into detail about this stuff we talked about off air, but it is kind of shocking. And, I wouldn't be shocked if a team out there that's in need of a first baseman, I mean, heck, even like my Sox, right, where we're kind of having a platoon right now, and I thought that maybe we could have went out and got like a Naylor or somebody at the trade deadline, but maybe for like a bat like this, in which I mean I haven't really seen his numbers between righties and lefties, but a team will be out there. I think they'll be looking for him. I mean, this is not just a guy that has not been good in his career. He's definitely had some couple years with them. However, just this year with the Nationals has not worked out for his liking.
Well, it wasn't just a home run that he hit the day before he got DFA'd. It was actually a grand slam, and it was his first career grand slam. So it was unfortunate timing. He had a very good game, and the next day he gets the axe. And the Nationals, the Nationals, they're rebuilding, and they're hoping to obviously pave the way for the future. They hope better days are ahead relatively soon. And with Lowe or Nathaniel, is it Lowe or Lowe? Nathaniel Lowe or Lowe? I'm always.
I think it's Lowe. Nathaniel Lowe. No, I'm sorry. This is Lowe. There's another one, Josh Lowe. I think I can't really. can't really know. But I think this one's Lowe, Nathaniel Lowe.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to say Nathaniel Lowe too. That last name drives me crazy. It's been the Nationals, another tough season. They're still rebuilding, and they have to give their youngsters as much playing time as possible. It's unfortunate, but unfortunately, DFA'ing Lowe probably was the most logical sense for the Nationals to make room and bring up some youngsters as they go down the final stretch of the 2025 season. So, yeah, it's tough. And, Lowe, obviously he helped the Rangers to the World Championship 2 years ago, was a very big part of that championship season. But he's also 30 years old, like you mentioned. And his production has just not been there this year. It's been a rough season for him. And, if you're hitting, unfortunately, if you're hitting in the low 200s and you're only 30 years old, not many teams, I think, are going to be interested in your services. I mean, 30 is not ancient. You should still be able to put up, I think, more respectable numbers than a 216 average or something like that. So, I mean, maybe, a team can, there might be somebody out there. I mean, I don't think it would be a contender, but maybe, a team that's, rebuilding similar to the Nationals, and they need a veteran presence to help their team for the future. I'm talking about a team like the Rockies or the White Sox. So, he wouldn't be playing any meaningful baseball, but I think you could find a meaningful role with a team like that in trying to teach younger players how to be better ball players. But yeah, it's an unfortunate way for his tenure in Washington to end. I guess he went out on a high note. Maybe I shouldn't say an unfortunate ending, but he went out on a high note. He had a great last game. But yeah, you never want to see anybody. DFA is basically the equivalent of getting fired from getting terminated in Major League Baseball. So it's never easy to see that. But some guys, need to be DFA than others. So, you hope that Lowe is able to find another job relatively soon.
Right. I was looking at his overall metrics, and right now he has a -8 WAR on the season, which is just, you can't have that.
30 years old, you got to be better than that.
-8 WAR. Come on. He actually had a 3 WAR on one of his prime season with Texas. So it's crazy to think. I do respectfully disagree in terms of I feel like there's going to be a team in contention that will take his bat just because there's a lot of teams that felt like at the trade deadline that couldn't get a first baseman. Heck, San Diego obviously got Ryan O'Hearn. Mariners, of course, got Josh Naylor. And too, he is tied right now for his home run, trajectory. Right, last year he hit 16. This year he hits 16. However, his K percentage has gone up from 22% to 26% this year, and his average. So, I feel like maybe he goes to change of scenery sometimes when you're on kind of a crappy team like Washington. No offense to Washington, they're kind of younger. Maybe he gets a change of scenery and maybe breaks out, kind of like, because Texas, for a lot of the Texas teams that he's on here, they're pretty good. So I do think that, when you sometimes are on a really good team, sometimes it just kind of goes with it, right? You kind of just play a little bit better. And I thought this was a really good move for Washington at the point in time. However, it just has not worked out. So best of luck to Nathaniel Lowe on his next endeavor, wherever he will go. We will have to find out. Hitting for the Cycle is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience, from playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/CTB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. This is going to be one of the bigger topics on the show, and that is that MLB and the big market teams have been completely spiraling. Sorry, I was about to have a tongue twister there. Um, the Yankees, the Mets. I was at the Met game last night, and the Dodgers. Three teams with three front offices that are billionaires. They spend a lot, pretty much almost every single year. And yeah, they try to go for greatness. You obviously have the two New York teams, the two big New York Mets teams. Hal Steinbrenner, you have Steve Cohen. Over with the Dodgers, you've got Andrew Friedman. Um, these are, no slouches in terms of the way that a lot of these front offices are run. Of course, with the Mets, they had the Will Pons. So, of course, I guess in the Mets case, they did have some pretty bad, shitty ownership for a long period of time. But the Mets were obviously, well, I guess we'll start with the Mets because, of course, I was at the game yesterday. The Mets obviously were a team that was 2 wins away from the World Series last year, and which was a magical ride for the OMG Mets. Of course, the team in the first half last year where they had the Jorge Lopez situation, which Ryan, of course, we talked about here on the program. And then the second half, they completely just had a torrid pace. And then, of course, in the playoffs, they Pete Alonso, of course, against your guy Devin Williams now. I don't know if he's your guy per se, but he is now on your Yanks, whether you want to say it or not. And that's probably the point in time where Devin Williams was broken because Pete Alonso, who, by the way, we got to talk about Pete Alonso because he did something. He broke something. So we will talk about Pete Alonso. But Pete Alonso had with the season on the line, a homer that is probably one of the best calls that Howie Rose has made from the Mets to give the Mets not only the lead but for the win for the series. They go to play the Phillies, one of their rivals, and they took the series against the Phillies. They had a couple of big-time comebacks, including Mark Vientos in Philly. He had a big homer. And then, of course, Francisco Lindor with a grand slam. They play the Dodgers, and they were pretty much neck and neck with the Dodgers. They were 2 wins away. The Dodgers obviously were the better team, but this year for the Mets, they had a really good start. Of course, in the offseason, they got Juan Soto from the Yanks, and there's a massive amount of expectations. Of course, after being 2 wins away from the World Series, and of course, felt like they had a roster. A lot of guys from last year, kind of just trying to build it off of, and good first half, and now they have completely made a team that does not know how to win baseball games, which is incredible because they did obviously add some guys at the deadline that I thought were going to be impacted guys. I thought that Cedric Mullins was going to be able to give them maybe a little bit more offensively. He has not really done much. His glove is okay. They are without Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker obviously is a pretty good bat for them, and without Winker, Winker obviously was a guy that I think that a lot of Mets fans really liked, and he also brought some energy as well too. Mark Vientos just has not had a really good year for them this year. He had an incredible postseason last year. He could have been honestly the best postseason guy last year. And, Soto obviously has been, I think, fine, but I think that he has not really just had that moment yet. And we pretty much have been waiting for about 4 months now. And even like the game like last night where, the Braves take the lead, bottom of the 8th inning, Lindor gets a single, the crowd is getting ready, and I'm thinking to myself, being at the game, I'm like, if Soto can have that moment here, now is the time to do it. And gentle lefty, and I think it was Dylan Lee, crowd was buzzing. Everybody around me said, Soto, come on, do your thing, strikes out, and everybody around me is like, all right, here we go again type of thing. So they're they just have not got that Soto moment yet. And I think that, if they haven't gotten it yet, I just don't know if they're going to get it at all. And it kind of sucks for them because, you got all that money for a guy like him, and you just would have thought by this point in time now, it just hasn't worked out. Pete Alonso, congratulations to Pete, by the way. He has now become the new home run Mets king, passing their legend Darryl Strawberry. 253 homers. He did get honored at the game yesterday. I unfortunately wasn't able to get there in time because of certain situation, but everything was fine. And so congratulations to Pete. He broke that record earlier this week. But really, Ryan, the biggest thing about the Mets right now, kind of very similar to the Yankees, is, when they have one thing kind of going, the other thing kind of steps back. Their bullpen has been abysmal. They're blowing games left and right. You'll get your Yanks blowing games. The Mets, they've had so many games in reach, having, lead after lead after lead, and they're blowing them. I mean, yesterday they blew a 3-2 lead, so it wasn't like insurmountable per se, right? And the Braves have obviously actually been one of the better teams offensively coming out of the All-Star break. It's really because of our pitching staff that is completely worn down with their, injuries. Carlos Mendoza obviously having a lot of questionable decisions, and just it's just been kind of, they don't really know how to win right now, and they're just kind of in this kind of like, what do we do type of phase. Your Yanks right now, Ryan, I mean, they obviously just been very, very up and down as of late. I mean, they just played the Minnesota Twins, a team that you guys just absolutely owned for the last several years. And, I saw a lot of the I don't know if I saw a lot of people on social media saying like, hell yeah, like we're back to the thing. But like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, hey, like, I know obviously you guys faced Joe Ryan on Wednesday, but this is obviously a team that you hopefully could sweep, because the Twins obviously are a team that completely, dismantled their whole entire roster. And, obviously I think you guys are trying to get yourself back on the map here. I mean, you guys are facing the Cardinals this upcoming weekend. The Cardinals obviously have been great. They just lost to the Rockies the other day. They're obviously going through it. So maybe you guys can get that series. And, obviously you have the Astros coming up. You got my Red Sox for 4 games next week, but we will be at one of them next week. So make sure to look up for some content with me and Ryan next week. It should be a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, Aaron Judge obviously got hurt. He's come back. He has not really kind of gotten back to the Aaron Judge that we know and love. So that's obviously been an issue. But I mean, it's a bullpen. It's been some of the starting pitching too. So between the Mets and the Yanks, Ryan, you guys have a lot of similarities. It's funny because when I got in the car yesterday coming back from the game, I was listening to FAN on the radio station in the car, and the guy that was doing like the midnight show basically said the Yankees and the Mets are pretty much interchangeable right now with the amount of stuff that's going on between both teams. Obviously the manager, people are talking about the managers, people are talking about some of their star players, people are talking about just obviously the starting pitching, get enough from the starting pitching. It's crazy to think, because I think that the Yankees and the Mets had some really a really good start to the season. Then of course they added the trade deadline. They felt like they both got pretty good pieces there, and now they're both at a situation. Now it's like, what's going on? And it's not been like it's a little bit of a stretch. It's been about at least for you guys, like, I guess for the Mets, it's been a little bit longer, but like a 1 or 2 month stretch of just poor to bad play baseball, right? The Dodgers, that's the last team I'm going to get into really quick. The Dodgers, listen, before the season began, we essentially said that the Dodgers were going to be the team, I think, that could probably win the World Series, 110 plus games, but it was about their injuries. They had to be able to stay healthy. And, I wasn't expecting Mookie Betts to completely just have a very tough season this year. I mean, of course, Mookie obviously had a certain segment that he had last year, and I guess it's completely disarrayed a lot of his play. And he even said it this year. He basically said that I have not played to my standards, but I do want to do what I can to hopefully try to finish out the season strong. Obviously, Ohtani's doing his thing. Roki Sasaki unfortunately got hurt. Apparently, in his rehab assignment, he was in the low 90s as I was reading. So I don't know how much he's going to be able to come back. Tyler Glass has been coming back, but like their pitching staff has just been a mixture of musical chairs essentially. Every single week, it just feels like they don't have a starting 5, and it's like, all right, so we have this guy. I mean, and you have this guy. I mean, thankfully with the Dodgers, if there's any team out there that basically could have a guy that can throw 95 plus, it's the Dodgers. However, they've obviously been underwhelming too as of late. They've been, they've obviously just lost the Angels. The Angels really put it to them. Yep. The Cardinals took 2 out of 3 against them in LA. And they're not, compared to what the Dodgers were earlier on this season, they're kind of looking like a team right now that's just like, they're just kind of there. I mean, they have a lot of star talent, but like they're not putting it together right now. So that's why, in this topic here, Ryan, the big market team spiraling. All the 3 teams kind of had a similar trend in terms of how everything went, right? They had a very, very good start to the season, basically having the expectations of like, oh my God, here we go. Like these are, of course, going to be the 3 teams we're expecting, of course, to see at the playoffs, which I think, by the way, I think all the 3 teams that I'm talking about here, I still think will be making the playoffs. I mean, of course, the Mets are potentially the one of the 3 teams that possibly might not, because they have completely I mean, heck, they were, I think, 20 games over 500, and now they're only, I think, half game up on the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, the Reds obviously have been playing good ball as of late, but yeah, man, it's been crazy. And I mean, I wouldn't say like, sometimes, it's what happens when, money can't buy players per se, but I think it's the fact of just, and we could be talking, a couple weeks about how these teams kind of be going back on the come up here because we wouldn't be shocked, right? The Yankees, the Mets, and the Dodgers. I mean, the three teams that I think that we're expecting to have good finishes to the season. But as of right now, in the last couple months here, it's been a massive struggle.
Well, you were talking about the similarities between the Mets and the Yankees right now. There's an old saying, you are what your record says you are. And for the Yankees and for the Yankees and the Mets, they both have the same record right now of 64 and 57. So both teams are only 7 games above 500. And I mean, like you mentioned at one point, both teams were, I think, 20 games over 500. And these are prolonged. This isn't just a slump. These are prolonged. These are prolonged slumps. This has been going on for far too long for the Yankees and the Mets. I mean, as a Yankee fan, I really look at that series against the Red Sox at Fenway Park as the beginning of the downward spiral for the Yankees. I mean, after getting swept by the Red Sox, the offense just went completely silent. And, that offense limped into the next series against the Angels where it just was not there. They were shut out, I think it was 4 straight games or 3. I think it was 3 straight games without scoring a run. And it was like a streak. I forget the exact number of innings, but the offense just was not clicking and their defense was lousy. And then eventually the starting pitching started to show cracks, and, that eventually led to overuse of the bullpen, and the bullpen has just been a mess this year for the Yankees. There's been a lot of injuries within that bullpen. Fernando Cruz has gone down. Mark Leiter Jr. has gone down. Tim Hill, I think, has gone down at some point. I don't know about Hill, actually. Luke Weaver missed a little bit of time as well. Devin Williams, we all know the story with him. I went into that last week. I don't need to repeat myself. So yeah, I mean, the Yankees have they've been a mess. They've been a mess for over 2 months now. They haven't found any consistency. And the Mets have also been a mess. The Mets, with the loss last night, they've lost 13 out of their last 15. And with that loss to the Braves last night, I believe that is five straight series losses for the Mets or something like that. Maybe,
yeah.
I mean, the Mets and the Yankees right now, New York baseball is just a dumpster fire. And
the Mets, it's crazy because the Braves are a team this year that's been injury riddled. They had Carlos Carrasco, your old buddy, pitch the middle game. They had Bryce Elder pitch in the game yesterday. And all right, maybe I'll see some offense last night. And just, yeah, it's just like something over the other. I mean, the way the Mets hitting was. I mean, the Mets Alonso obviously had the RBI single to get them the lead. Lindor obviously hit the solo shot. But it's just one thing over the other, whether it's for both teams. It's crazy.
I think both teams are really struggling mentally. I think there are a lot of players on both teams who are struggling with their confidence, and they're looking for others to do the work and pick up the slack for them. But and you can only struggle for so long. Eventually, you're going to have to come through at some point. And unfortunately for both teams, there are some guys who have just had really rough seasons and have just not come through at all. I mean, you mentioned Mark Vientos with the Mets. He's had a very rough season compared to what he did last year, and he was a postseason hero for the Mets last year. And I mean, he really he hit the ground hard this year. It's been a rough season for Mark Vientos.
Yeah.
2 guys who I think have been the biggest disappointments for the Yankees this year have been Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe. 2 of them have just had horrendous seasons. 2 of them have really taken a massive step backward in terms of their development. I mean, Wells, I think, is in danger of losing the starting catching role. I mean, the Yankees are starting to roll Ben Rice out there behind the plate much more often. And I mean, both teams, they really have nobody. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of finger pointing. I talked about Aaron Boone last week and how, he definitely deserves some blame. And I'm sure Mendoza deserves some blame as well for what the Mets are going through. But at the end of the day, it's the players who are the ones who are playing the game, and the players deserve more blame, if you ask me, than the managers or in the ownership. I mean, you can't tell me that Cohen didn't go out there and try and put the best team on the field. I mean, he spent almost $800 million on one freaking Soto. So I mean, I don't want to hear anybody complaining how Cohen doesn't put together a good team. I mean, Cashman, I thought same with Cashman. I thought he put together the team as best as he could after letting Soto go, and he made moves at the deadline. He made plenty of moves. I mean, it's unfortunate that the first game with those guys just blew up in the Yankees' faces. So I mean, this falls on the players more than anybody else, if you ask me. I mean, and the same goes, with the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers, it's been a year of underperforming. I mean, like you said, Mookie Betts having the worst season by far in his career. I mean, yes, he had the illness at the beginning of the season, and that might have lingered up longer than people might have realized.
But he's also just publicly said he's just not been playing well either.
I mean, but it's August.
Eventually, like the illness, the excuse of the illness is going to take you just so far.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it's it's August 15th right now as of the day of this recording. You can't really use the illness as an excuse anymore. Betts has just not had a good year, but you know what? He's human. He's human. A lot of professional athletes are going to have at least one bad season in their professional career. It's not uncommon. I mean, it's a little shocking, because I don't know if that's. I mean, the only other down season I can think of for Betts, and it wasn't even that down of a season, was 2017. That was really the only other season that I think he didn't. And, that wasn't even a bad season. He just didn't, play as well as I thought he could have played that year. I think he only hit in like the 260s when he's a 300 hitter. So, to see Betts, below like the 250 mark is very alarming. And, and obviously, Ohtani, he's got the 40 home runs. He's leading the National League in home runs, or he's in a fight with I keep forgetting who he's fighting with for the National League lead in home runs.
I'll get it to you.
Who?
I said I'll get it to you right now.
Oh, or I know he's been fighting with Cal Raleigh for the league lead.
Schwarber, maybe?
Oh, Schwarber, yes, Kyle Schwarber. But Ohtani, he obviously is a favorite again to win the NL MVP. But honestly, you look at Ohtani's overall numbers. Yeah, the home runs are impressive, but his strikeout numbers have gone up this year. He's not dominating as he typically has been in years past. He's not having a bad year. I'm not saying that, but it's just it hasn't been an indestructible, you can't get the guy out kind of year for Shohei Ohtani. He's been more human this year, I think, than in years past. And Freddie Freeman, not a horrible year, but he's not hitting as much as he for his standards. Yeah, he's going to be 36 next month. So I mean, you might be starting to see slight tiny cracks in Freddie Freeman. I still think he's a very dangerous hitter. I would not want to face him in the big situation. No way. But he already killed my team. I don't want to face him again. But it's just been we got all the injuries that the Dodgers have gone through in their rotation. I understand that injuries sometimes are unavoidable and they just happen sometimes. But I think you also got to sometimes take responsibility for the way you condition yourself and train and so on and so forth. So, all three teams, given their expectations and, how much money they spent in the offseason and, all the trades and moves that they've made, they deservedly, this criticism that they're all getting is deserving, especially for the Yankees and the Mets. Because for the Yankees, this has kind of just been a repeated, script year in and year out where, they've gone off to a good start and they just take the summer off and it's like they forget how to play baseball. And, the Mets, last year they, exceeded expectations, obviously. And, people were thinking, with the addition of Soto that, here they are. It's time to get back to the top of the National League. And it just hasn't been a smooth sailing for them. And, people expect the Dodgers to just go out there and dominate year in and year out. And they have, dominated the regular season a lot too. But, at the end of the day, a lot of teams are going to go through struggles, and some teams, struggle more than others. And, I think this is just one of those years where, these three teams, kind of ironically, because it doesn't seem like they, they all struggle at the same time, and like to this extent. But, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's still a month and a half of the baseball season to go. So, I mean, there's still time to right the ship here. But, I mean, it's got to happen sooner rather than later. Because before you know it, it's going to be September, and the last thing you want to be is and the last thing you want to, last place where you want to be is in a dogfight for a wild card spot. So, it's go time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These teams have got to get their heads out of their asses, and they got to start playing better baseball. There's no other way of saying it.
So, Yankees have the Cardinals this upcoming weekend. The Mets have the Mariners this weekend. The Mariners, by the way, just lost 2-3 to the Orioles. Orioles, by the way, Ryan, I don't know if you heard about this, but this week was the first walk-off that the Baltimore Orioles had all season with Jackson Holiday. So, I mean, you talk about just a very tough year for the Orioles. I mean, the fact that their first walk-off of the season came in August. I mean, that's tough. And also, really quickly, speaking of the Mets, maybe it's funny, it's for itself, is they'll be playing in the Little League Classic on Sunday night against the Mariners, which, by the way, Ryan, your Yanks got the chance to play in the Little League Classic a couple years ago.
Year.
Was it last year?
It was last year. Clay Holmes blew the save, as usual.
I thought that was 2 years ago. Wow.
No, it was last year. They faced the Tigers last year. Marcus Stroman actually matched Tariq Skubal in that game.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Clay Holmes flushed it down the toilet as he typically does.
Wow. I mean, talk about a year flying by like crazy. Because I know that the Red Sox played a couple years ago there against the Orioles. I do remember that. We did lose that.
That was like 22, I think.
Maybe I'm not surprised, to be honest. Clay Holmes last year, Ryan, was giving you nightmares. Hence, one of the games you were at. Which
he's been struggling recently.
Yeah. The Clay Holmes that the Met fans were loving in the first half.
Yeah, I was saying in my head, just wait. Just wait.
There you go. But yeah, the big market teams as of late have been completely spiraling, and we just got to figure out in terms of, how they can get themselves back on the map here.
I will say this: the rest of Major League Baseball has no sympathy for any of these teams.
There you go. Okay, team reports. So Ryan, I really don't know how much you want to have with yours because you pretty much just kind of had it in the previous topic we just had. But of course, if there's anything else that you want to mention about your team, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make it quick.
Yeah,
I'll make it quick.
You did pretty well with your thing last week. So I mean, I think that this week you might want to kind of take a breather here and obviously just kind of face the reality at this point in time. With my Red Sox, the Red Sox, since we've talked, they went on a road trip to take on San Diego and Houston. Now, the Red Sox have been playing, Ryan, I could you not, just crazy good teams for the last 2-3 weeks. I mean, frankly, right, they came out of the All-Star break. They honestly had the hardest strength of schedule out of anything. I think any team in baseball. And I just told myself, I said, they just kind of had to stay afloat, right? They had to just kind of ride the wave out and somehow, some way get to this point where we are at today's recording, still in a playoff race. And they went 2-4 run on the road trips that they had. They played the Phillies, then the Cubs, and then in this one they had Houston and San Diego. Now, were they perfect series at all? No, not at all. They had some pitching going on, pitching woes, runners in scoring position. Right, I think the Red Sox on the road are 27-34. They're just, for some odd reason this year, they typically have been a much better road team the last couple of years, despite their underachievement and stuff like that in the last couple of years, and they've been a really bad road team. This year, it's been the complete opposite. I feel like nobody wants to come to Fenway right now with the way that the Sox are playing. They play specifically like they're the team that we don't love. Then they go on the road. I mean, granted, they've been playing a lot of tough teams against some really tough environments, against some really tough pitchers. However, they just have not been able to get the job done consistently on the road. The San Diego series actually did pretty well to start. Last Friday, they took on Nick Pivetta, our old friend Nick Pivetta, and the Red Sox put a pretty good showing on him. Walker Buehler actually had probably his best outing of the season. I think he went 6 or 7 innings. The Red Sox, of course, their bullpen, they made it a little bit of a breather because they got into massive trouble in the 8th. The Sox won the game in the first game. The second game, Lucas Giolito, who's been phenomenal as of late, just did not have it. He had 5 walks, I believe, in 5 innings. He just got into the 5th inning. The Red Sox had the lead. Did a little small ball to get the lead, and then they just completely unraveled. Walk after walk. I mean, take a shot with the amount of walks that the Red Sox pitching had this past weekend against the Padres. I think it might be. I don't know how you feel, but it wasn't good, and you can't give 3 outs against a team like San Diego. The Red Sox just didn't play clean baseball consistently in that series. I mean, granted, the Padres are a really, really good team. I mean, of course, the way that you're looking right now, the Padres are the first place team in the NL West. So, I mean, you got to give them their props. But the Red Sox had a pretty good chance to take that series against the Padres, and in the second game, they didn't have enough. And then in the third game, Brian Bayo pitched against Dylan Cease, and Dylan Cease was phenomenal. Dylan Cease, of course, has not been great this year for his standards, but against the Red Sox, he was pretty good. And Red Sox going to hit him, and they obviously had some traffic. I think in the 7th inning, they were down. I think it was 5-0. I'm pretty sure 4 or 5-0. They actually had a help with Xander Bogaerts, our good friend Xander Bogaerts. He had an error. Ryan, Xander against the Red Sox did not have one single hit until this past weekend against the team. And then, of course, because why not? He hit a home run against the Red Sox in the second game to tie the game, and he had one of his best games as a Padre. So, yeah, that hurt. But, I'm not surprised at this point in time. Rafi obviously getting a hit against us, and Xander, and Mookie will be soon again. So it's just kind of what it is. But and then Red Sox go to Houston. Alex Bregman's homecoming. And Ryan, why wouldn't he? But Alex Bregman goes to Houston, first at bat, pocket top into the Crawford box. As we know, the Crawford box is quite well, Ryan. And the Red Sox, of course, have a lead. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Christian Javier is just coming back. We, of course, know Christian Javier very well. He is a pain in our ass. And, Garrett Crochet is human, right? He just didn't have it. They were first pitch hunting a lot. He got behind. He was actually talking about after the game, saying that he uses a lot of spin in the second round of the order. And he had to use a lot more spin the first time of the order against a team like this because they were just seeing the ball against him really well. Ryan, Houston is just a pain in the ass. I know for a fact that we won the season series, but Carlos Correa comes back in their lineup, and it's like they have not missed a beat. I just look at their lineup, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. It's like we thought for a fact that Houston would be dead and this, and they got a different manager. It's like, no, like Carlos Correa is back, and their lineup is back, and they took the second game. No, they took the first game. We actually made it quite interesting though because we were down I think 6-2. We come back. It was 7-2 actually. Roman Anthony hits a 2-run home run, makes it 7-6 in the 7th inning, but we just couldn't get that next run on board, and we lost 7-2. The second game we had a massive outburst. Dustin May, Ryan. Dustin May, our guy we picked up, our acquisition, did pretty well. For his second start, he was able to kind of keep them off board. Very unexpected. And then the third game, the Red Sox bats against Hunter Brown, they couldn't hit him. Hunter Brown, Ryan, he's disgusting. He is really, really good. He's one of the top 5 pitchers in the American League. And they had countless opportunities. I mean, only struck out 3 or 4 guys, but the amount of times that they got on base, they just couldn't be able to capitalize. And so the Sox go 2-4 in the road trip, but they're still in the number 2 spot in the wild card. They're 1.5 games up on your Yanks. Thanks to the Mariners obviously losing a couple. And of course, your Yanks obviously losing that last game against the Twins. But now they have a little bit. I'm not saying per se a little bit because you guys just faced this team that you guys got swept with. We have the Marlins this weekend, Ryan. The Marlins are a team that's no pushover. Given their record, they have some pretty good pitching. They got Sandy Alcantara pitching tonight. They got Quantrill tomorrow, and they got Jacob Junk on the mound on Sunday. And then we have the Orioles for 2 before we have your Yanks. So we're gonna have, obviously, outside this National League Series, the Players Weekend. By the way, we have the Orioles, the Yankees, and then the Orioles. So we have a ton of AL East coming up in the next 3 series after this. So for the Red Sox, they're gonna have to play some good teams coming up. I mean, the Orioles, heck, even as of recently, have been playing decent ball. So I can't look at them as a pushover as of right now. And yeah, that's my team report for the Red Sox. They are still kind of rocking around. I am very glad though that we took the season series though, because if it gets to a certain time late on the season where it has to be a certain tiebreaker, I can be completely happy that we have a season series against the Houston Astros. Very, very pleased.
All right, so since last week, my Yankees went home for a 6-game homestand with 3 against the Astros, coincidentally. And the Astros continue to be a thorn in our side. On Friday night, Shohei Ohtani, again, continues to just the Yankees just continue to make fools out of themselves. He was facing Cam Schlittler. Schlittler, welcome to the big leagues, buddy, and welcome to facing the Houston Astros. Altuve hit a home run off of Schlittler in the bottom of the first inning. The Astros went ahead 2-0. The Yankees tied it in the bottom of the 6th inning, thanks in part to hits by Ben Rice and Aaron Judge. But other than that, the Yankees really didn't do anything against Hunter Brown on Friday night. They were completely shut down.
Really good.
And then we get to extra innings, and who does Aaron Boone go to but Devin Williams? And Williams' miserable season as a Yankee just continued. He gave up 3 runs in the top of the 10th, and the Astros won Game 1 5-3. Second game, on Saturday, August 9th, the Yankees got a pretty good start from Luis Gil, and they jumped out to a 4-2 lead. However, the bullpen continues to be a big problem for the Yankees. Camilo Doval did not have it, allowed the Astros to tie the game in the top of the 8th. However, Trent Grisham, very good season from him, hit a go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 8th to give the Yankees a 5-4 lead, and they went on to win by that score. I've been seeing a lot of talk about whether or not the Yankees should bring back Trent Grisham next year, and I say no. I don't want him back next year.
Not even for like platoon?
What?
Not even a platoon bat?
Well, if you sign him for 1 to 2 years, that's fine, but he has to be the 4th out.
I'm agreeing. I'm saying yes in terms of that.
Do not sign him to an extension. Do not give him an Aaron Hicks-like contract.
Oh my God, no.
You do that again, and I'm going to lose my mind. 1 to 2 years, and that's sad. All right. I don't trust Trent Grisham being this consistent. This is by far the best season of his career. You look at his overall career numbers; they're nowhere near this. All right. So for those of you who love Grisham, look, I like Grisham, but let's calm down here. This is not typically what he does on a yearly basis.
And Ryan, to be frank, because obviously our park is very hitter friendly, but he's playing in a very hitter friendly park as well too.
Oh yes, we all know that, especially right field. And then we get to Sunday, and Max Fried's downward spiral continued. He had absolutely nothing Sunday. This is just Fried's been bad for over a month now. Really, since that Dodgers series where he got lit up by the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, he's really just been inconsistent.
He said something about a blister, but I think it's also too he's had some walk problems. He's been walking a lot of guys. He hasn't been having the greater early starts like he had in the first half too.
No, he's been bad. There's no doubt about it. And the Yankee offense was absolutely terrible against Jason Alexander, not the actor, but the baseball player. Never heard of this guy, honestly, until he pitched against us on Sunday. We made him look like Sandy Koufax because that's typically what we do. No offense to show for it. 3 hits on the day. Yankees lose 7-1 on Sunday. Gave no effort whatsoever in that game. They lose 2 out of 3. That's the problem with the Yankees. Their effort has just been very, very poor. And you can tell by some of the at-bats, the way that some of the guys are playing, swing at the first pitch constantly, no plate discipline whatsoever. And people are wondering why the Yankees are struggling. It's because of that. There's no freaking. So then we get to Monday, the Twins came to town for a 3-game set. Like we said, we've owned the Twins basically since 2002. We're their daddy, which makes the Twins the grandchildren of the Astros. Since the Astros own us, we own the Twins, so it would make sense for the Twins to be the Astros' grandchildren. And they were, honestly, in 2023 when the Astros beat the Twins in the ALDS. So anyway, and by the way, Carlos Correa hit another home run against us in the final game of the Astros series. And Ahmed Rosario went on the injured list. So
and Altuve had another one.
Altuve had another home run. I can't wait for that mosquito to retire from baseball. He's killing us. He's just killed us all year. I respect Altuve. I really do. But I hate it when he faces the Yankees.
Yeah.
3 games against the Twins at Yankee Stadium. Yankees won the first game 6-2. Will Warren pitched into the 7th inning. God knows when the last time the Yankees starter pitched into the 7th inning. Yankees won that game pretty easily. Yankees killed the Twins in the second game, 9-1. It looked like Carlos Rodon was going to have another short night. However, he settled down after the first inning, and the Yankees erupted for 9 runs, won the second game, 9-1. Twins only got 1 hit in the second game. So very laughable 2 games. Even after those 2 wins, it didn't impress me. You're facing the Twins.
You sure you weren't back yet?
What?
You sure you weren't back?
No, I was not back. I won't be back unless I'll tell you when. And then the last game on Wednesday, Yankees shut down completely by Joe Ryan. Ryan dominated the final game. Cam Schlittler wasn't great, but he wasn't bad either. But yeah, regardless, Yankees dropped the last game 4-1, going 3-3 on the homestand. Not good enough. Not good enough at all. You got to at least win both series in your home ballpark. But, yeah, the Yankees continue to just play uninspiring baseball, and they really don't. And, they got more bad news. Paul Goldschmidt's going to go on the injured list. Of course, when Goldschmidt comes to the Yankees, he needs to go on the injured list. Doesn't go on the injured list when he plays for the Cardinals or the Diamondbacks. He comes to the Yankees, got to go to the injured list. Because why wouldn't that happen? It's just a recurring theme for guys who join the Yankees. They underperform, and they get hurt. No matter who it is, where you come from, that just happens unless you're Juan Soto. The Yankees now are going on the road for a 5-game road trip, 3 in St. Louis this weekend, 2 in Tampa against the Rays before they come back to Yankee Stadium for a 4-game set against you guys. And that is the determining factor, honestly, of how I feel the Yankees season will go. If the Yankees lose that series to the Red Sox at home, they're toast.
It's a 4-game series.
It's a 4-game series. Yeah, if they lose 3 out of 4, or if they lose 3 out of 4, they're dead. I think there's no chance. So the Yankees have to take the series against the Red Sox. They have to. If they don't do it, goodbye.
Okay, really quick. Who's hot, who is not? I'm not going to get into my who's not because we're running out of time. But, Ryan, I'm going to do a who's hot. And this was a guy that was completely ice cold in the first half. This was a guy that actually I saw play last night, and he had a game-tying hit against Brian Helsley. Michael Harris. Michael Harris for the Atlanta Braves has gone a complete turnaround from the first half. I'm not going to go into numbers as of late, but if you just look at Michael Harris's page recently in stats, he is my who's hot.
All right. For my who's not, I'll do a who's not because I actually have one off the top of my head. Pete Crow Armstrong from the Cubs. Oh,
yes.
Man, he is.
That was going to be mine, too.
He is as cold as a block of ice. He can't hit anything right now. 2 for his last 28 in his last 7 games for an .071 batting average. And unfortunately, it's a big reason why the Cubs have fallen further behind the Brewers, other than the Brewers just killing everybody. The Brewers, got to give them some love. They've won 12 in a row. They have just been phenomenal.
Are they cheating?
What's that?
I saw the joke. I said, are they cheating?
I don't know. But you know what? Let me say this. Until they win the World Series, I'm going to keep calling them pretenders.
Yeah, I agree with you. But heck, for the Brew Crew fans out there, enjoy the ride. All right, well, that'll do it for this episode 81 of Hitting for the Cycle. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials, of course, right down here in the ticker bar down below. Make sure to listen to us wherever you guys been getting your podcast. Also, make sure to watch us on our recent on YouTube. We will be back here for episode 82 next week. We hope to see you guys then.
Adios.